JBNN will keep you informed. I'm Michelle Jones, and in the news, Ted Prince showed court that he was displeased with sentence. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items. A very upset Ted Prince, after being sentenced on 2 counts, held the court's attention as he banged the metal bars in the holding area downstairs, causing the sound to echo throughout the building. His sentences are to run concurrently.
Yes, counsel. Oh, you wish to deal with him now that you are here? Okay, very well then. All right. The counsel who represents Mr. Prince and Mr. Johnson has asked that Mr. Prince be dealt with now that he is here, to facilitate his departure in the earliest possible time. So we'll accommodate counsel by doing that. So Mr. Prince was convicted on counts 2 and 19 after a contested trial. Count 2 is the count relating to membership of a criminal organization, and count 19 relates to the facilitating conspiracy to commit murder of a person unknown. The evidence that has led to this conviction showed that Mr. Prince was involved in the shooting at fisheries across the road from the National Police College. The evidence from the accountant was that the accountant and Mr. Blake were to drive down to fisheries to determine whether the targets were there. At some point, Mr. Blake made a call back to whomever, and the accountant, speaking from his side of the conversation, said that Mr. Blake was indicating to whomever was on the other end of the conversation that the targets were there. The accountant went on to indicate that Mr. Prince arrived and at some point began to shoot, presumably at the intended targets. He returned to Jones Avenue, that is Mr. Prince, where he reported to Mr. Bryan that the intended target was not shot, but somebody else was. In addition to that, Mr. Prince was also a participant in the burning down of the Torpedo Loan Company building. That plan, we know, was hatched by Mr. Bryan and others, and Mr. Golding and Mr. Prince reported to one of the witnesses that they were the ones who broke in and set the place afire. In addition to that, there was the incident in relation to the Rastaman who was killed on Jones Avenue, and Mr. Prince's role in that was to secrete the firearms from Mr. Whiteley and Mr. Morris after the shooting. So all of that now would go to show that he was part of a criminal organization. And in respect of count 19, he agreed with Mr. Bryan to shoot this unknown person. And so all of that now would show that he's a member of the criminal organization. The cumulative effect of all of this would show that Mr. Prince was very much aware of the nature of the organization of which he willingly and voluntarily became a member. It is manifested by his going down to fisheries to do the shooting, his agreement to shoot this unknown person, Mr. Bryan, and to assist with the secretion of weapons after the shooting of the Rastaman. So he's not a man averse to the use of firearms to commit, at the very least, shooting with intent or even murder. And of course, he had no difficulties with arson as well. All of them, whether it is murder, whether it is facilitating conspiracy to murder, whether it is facilitating arson, all of those are serious offenses under the Criminal Justice Administration, Criminal Justice Suppression of Criminal Organizations Act. And so Mr. Prince, we can safely conclude, was an ardent member of this criminal organization. As far as the social inquiry report is concerned, he insists that he knows nothing about any gang, not a member of the gang, and his position is that this came about, that is, this present charge came about because he was framed by the police while on remand for another matter. He shared that he likes parties, dances, and likes to play football. Now, he indicated that both his parents were firm disciplinarians and committed caregivers who enforced Christian tenets to guide his conduct. He said he attended school regularly, and even if financial resources fell short, he was not greatly deprived. That is his view of the matter. He says his parents formed the view that he should learn a skill, so he was transferred to a vocational skill center, and in addition, he was taught shoemaking skills by his father. He also reported that his parents kept a watchful eye on him and warned him against some of the peers he associated with, even gave him early curfews to be off the streets. He, however, agrees that he did not always agree with his parents' instructions and would fall prey to waywardness. So what is clear up to this point is that this is not for want of effort on the part of his parents to steer him along the straight and narrow path. He indicated that he lost two of his older brothers to violence and he was angered by their passing, but counseling assisted him in coping with his grief. It was remarkable that, having regard to the efforts of his parents and his own experience of having to suffer the loss of relatives, lost to violence, that he himself has now found himself here. And his father indicated that, if he may say so himself, he was a devoted father to his children, did everything in his power to keep young Mr. Prince away from trouble. But the father observed that for whatever reason, he gravitated towards wrongdoing. Father even related that on numerous occasions, he would take young Mr. Prince to the police, presumably for the police to have words with him, but nothing seemed to have worked. So we have the parents trying, police trying, efforts to make him financially independent by giving him a skill so which he could earn. But it appears that none of that was going to stop Mr. Prince from ending up where he now is. Father even shared that at one point, some of the persons with whom he's on trial with here were meting out violence to him, and his father had to rescue him. And when his father raised with him the subject of his associations, he denied that he was associated with the persons whom his father thought he was associated with. And of course, as all responsible parents, he is heartbroken and disappointed over his son's involvement in the matter. As far as the community is concerned, this is now in the Jones Avenue community. Residents say that he's a good person, gets along well with people, and from a decent home. And other persons just simply sighed and turned away their heads when they were asked about Mr. Prince. But similar to one of the reports made earlier, the residents say that yes, he's a member of the gang, but he was not a member of his own free will. He had no choice. And others did not take such a benign view of the matter. There we are. In the case of Mr. Prince now, the report indicates that he has 3 previous convictions, well, really 4. Housebreaking and larceny, this is in 2013. An illegal possession of firearm, illegal possession of ammunition, both of these on the 18th of July 2018. And of course, the most recent one being the contempt of court. So that is the previous record of Mr. Prince. According to the probation officers, does not represent an established pattern of offending, but this most recent conviction represents an escalation in the seriousness of offending behavior. So in sentencing so far, we have tended to ignore the previous convictions. But in the case of Mr. Prince, having a conviction for illegal possession of firearm and ammunition is really not a wonderful thing. And not only has he been convicted of illegal possession of firearm and ammunition, the evidence discloses that he has no difficulty either gaining access to or willingness to use them when he has access to them, or attempting to use them as exemplified by his statement when he returned from the planned operations by the National Police College. So that shows the probation officers don't regard it as a pattern of offending, but as I said, drawing the inference from how they have written their reports, pattern of offending for them seems to mean multiple convictions of the same type. So they seem to look just at the stated offense for which the person was convicted and don't go behind to look at the circumstances. So a criticism is just an observation. But looking at this now, when you see that the person has been convicted for illegal possession of firearm, and the circumstances of this case show the use of firearm or secreting firearm to hide them from the police after they have been used to commit a murder, that is in respect of count 15 outlaw. So that is a matter of concern. So that tells me that Mr. Prince, at the very least, is a public health risk. He endangers the lives and safety and well-being of persons. And usually persons with illegal guns are up to no good. Gun has only one purpose, and that is to point and to shoot, whether human beings or animals. So that is how now we have to look at Mr. Prince. And it appears that the efforts of his parents did not bring about the desired results. So we are where we are, and so we have to deal with it accordingly. So Mr. Prince decided to be part of a criminal organization that made use of firearms either to shoot at or to shoot persons. And he himself was not averse to doing the shooting himself, if required to do so, or even agreeing to do the shooting, which is really what count 19 is about. He agreed to do the shooting. So I think we can safely conclude that there are no mitigating factors here on the part of Mr. Prince. And one of the options available to the court is the commencement time of the sentences that we're about to impose. Is currently serving a sentence now of 8 years for the illegal possession of firearm and 4 years for the illegal possession of ammunition, and both of those sentences were made to run concurrently. Now, bearing in mind, as I have said, that Mr. Prince seems to be a public health risk to the life and limb and safety of others, he needs to be away from members of the public for a significant period of time. And so, in respect of count 2, the starting point would be 16 years. No aggravating factors for it to go up, no mitigating factors for it to come down. So it's 16 years. In respect of count 19, the same 16 years. Nothing there for it to go up, nothing to come down. Now, both these sentences are to run concurrently, and the remaining question now is when they should commence. And I'm of the view that Mr. Prince's time should commence at the end of the current sentence that he is serving for illegal possession of firearm. So that is when this sentence is to commence. It's 16 years on both counts, to commence at the end of the sentence for the illegal possession of firearm. And so that is it, Mr. Prince. Yes, to commence at the end of the sentence.
JBN will keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.